Yeah, good afternoon. So first of all, thank you for inviting us in this forum. And so I'm also from North Campus. So I really like to come to the South Campus. That time we really discuss about North Campus and South Campus days. So I will just give my journey. We started from North Campus, Credible College. So I was from Statistics Honors. And after Statistics, I did MBA. And after MBA, I suddenly joined to media. And that time media was going to do some transformation, that how data can really play an important role for consumer behaviors and understanding. So I did play an important role in terms of correlation, regulation, and normalizations in data. So I tried to mix all those things and created a good media platform. So I was head of marketing for Z Media for a long time. And that time, nature is actually inspired me to work something for environment and climate change. So I started my journey after media. Then I also get a chance to meet Dr. APJ Kalam. So once I got a call from his office that he wants to meet me. And that time I was doing a campaign called My Earth, My Duty. So Dr. Kalam told me that, so one word has really inspired me, because I always change the track in my life. Started from media, then I went to industry body, I did policy advocacy. So changing track is always in my life. Sometimes I was also derailed. But the great part of Delhi University, what I have, that confidence is really giving me to grow further and did something transformation for future generation. And I'm very happy today that I'm working for future, not for any private company. I'm working for Mother Earth. So that good part is really inspired me and make me alive to something new every day and every night. So in my transformation, Dr. Kalam told me that change yourself, else Mother Earth is going to change you. So it's better to change ourselves and you're the future generation. So did industry body, when I started, is really aiming to uniting the world for climate action and how to accelerate the momentum for net zero. Because every action today, what we are doing, it is going to impact our future generation. So do you want to live for yourself or your future generation? This is the question mark. So we are doing a great policy advocacy. I was also there in a COP, Brazil. We were planning for COP 30, where we are trying to involve so many carbon projects in sequestration and removal side. So I'll just give you a little background about CMAI. So this is the transition. This cycle, everybody has to go. So industry is doing emissions. So when you work in any organization, there's three kinds of emissions, scope 1, 2, and 3. So every action is causing emission. So don't use any plastic bottles. It is going to spoil your future. So we are very, very much aware that what we have to do, but ignorance is always pushing us to do what we should not do. So so come out from the comfort level now. We are in the very tight stage now. So world is going towards 2 degree plus centigrade temperature hike, and so many islands is going to melt. So many global war is going to start. So the future is really very dark for us. I'm not trying to give you some bad figure, but this is the reality. So this association is really talk about how transformation can happen. All those emissions, what you are doing. Suppose I'm buying any product from any company. So am I buying a product or am I buying an emission? We have to be very careful. So that packaging, a plastic packaging and all, those companies are selling. But they're also selling you emission with the product. So don't accept any emission, because that emission is counting on your head. So our job is to understand how many type of emission and how those emission you can escape. What you plan for future, those emissions should not transfer from your company, your organization, or individually or company-wise. So this association is really talk about how this transformation can happen. So the most important part of carbon credit is very simple, that if you are doing 1 ton of carbon dioxide emission, you will get 1 credit. So this organization is really talk about which company, how much emissions are doing, and how those emissions can be offset in life. So I think the text is very small, so I'll just skip the slides. So our aim is to accelerating net zero transitions. I'm also stakeholder for Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in multiple committees. Government is really conscious about this market and transition. So we're working closely with the government. And so we are working in all the continents right now. So our members are really very large companies like Reliance, NTPC, Tata Power, Glencore, Indian Oil. So all these companies have certain goals. And there's various business challenges also coming ahead in future. So we wish to know about what kind of those challenges are ahead. So we are doing 3,500 projects around the world. And there are more than 220 million ton of greenhouse gas reduction has been done so far. This is our strength as a body and an organization what we have right now. So I think this, everybody knows about the climate change is really evident. So climate change is directly proportional to concerning impact of in our life, starting from CO2 level increase, rising temperature, sea level increase, changes in rain patterns, drought. And this chart which we got from Climate NASA, that is really clear that how sea level is increasing. So all this data are really present everywhere. So our job is also to create alarm and awareness that where all we are moving towards. This is also very clear that as a human, we induce the emission. So there are 4 kind of gases really important, like CO2, like CH4, like N2O2. So all those gases are part of life. So we have to see that where we are in right now, can we going to replace those CO2 by other activities, action. So this phenomena is really active in the world, and how is going to impact our GDP. So when we talk about Viksit Bharat 2047, so can we be a Viksit Bharat by ignoring the climate? Of course not, because there's a drastic fall in our GDP if you're not able to follow this. So this is our job as an organization, to connecting data to GDP, to inflation, so overall. So this is also very important slide that we all know that how the world is moving towards. We have a target 2 degrees centigrade maximum. In case we go more than 2 degrees by 2050, this is going to create a big impact in our life. So, and how it is going to impact of global GDP and India GDP per se. So although we are growing very fast in terms of GDP growth, but we can really see that how it is going to impact of GDP loss from last few years, agriculture impact, economic viability, and health cost. So everything is a cost. When we do any carbon projects and creating the carbon credit, there's various core benefits also. Like we are doing some projects in 2 million households in India for clean cooking activity, where the woman is suffering from the lung disease, and all the children also, because children is sitting near to women, and also forest, water level. So all this activity we track and understand that how it is going to benefit the complete biodiversity, and which is really going to help for us for future generation in coming days. So if you talk about India, we are a coal country. We face a lot of challenge in the COP, because everybody is saying that you're a fossil fuel country and you are doing the benzene emissions. So but at the same time, we have a very fantastic data to counter that our per capita emission is only 2, while the global emission is around 5 per capita emission. So this is the data where our Honorable Prime Minister also mentioned in the COP 28 and 29, his message was there. So as a country, we also need to do policy advocacy, because we are 17% population in the world and doing 4% emission. So how those emissions, but these emissions are growing. You can see the chart. These emissions are growing, and they're drastically growing by 1950. So we are also leading towards per capita emission doubling by 2047. So are we planning for a sustainable growth? Are we going to use more fossil fuel and all? So this is a question mark we have to play. So the world is already united for climate action. So the good part is that a lot of negotiation and dialogue happened in the Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement. So finally, the developed country has decided the goal, and developing country is also take the pledge about net zero goal. India has 2070 net zero goal. But we also have NDC, National Determined Contribution. So 2030 is our certain targets. Our Honorable Prime Minister has also mentioned about Panchamitra, so 5 goals what we have. So a global carbon market has formulated. And the carbon market, why we play a very important role in the carbon market, that we are one of the strongest players in the carbon market. We are the world's largest biodiversity hub, like Africa and Latin America, what we have. So we can generate a large number of carbon credit. We can not only achieve net zero goal by ourselves, but also helping other nations to achieve net zero goal. So we are closely signing MOU with Japan, Korea, Singapore in the coming days, and helping Japan to achieve net zero goal by developing more and more carbon projects. So this is the area where future generation should definitely go and move forwards, because that is a sector where we are going to work for Mother Earth. So this we are really clear that, so India has generated around $10 billion in the carbon market so far in the CDM age. And now in the Article 6, which finalized in the COP Azerbaijan, Baku, in the month of November. So we are expecting around $15 billion funding to the country. So there's a huge employment opportunities are there in this space. So I really encourage the future generation to think about that, because we really need a good manpower and resource to do transition to the planet. So these are 3 kind of carbon markets we have primarily. One is that compliance market, which every industry has to follow, because Government of India has to meet net zero goal. So compliance market, we have 9 sectors, steel, cement, fertilizer, aluminums. But these are challenges also, because globally there is a carbon tax is coming. And if those carbon tax, if you're not able to meet the global compliance, we are going to lose a lot of job and opportunity in the country. So this carbon market is also very area of concern for industry and government to look after. So we are closely working in this space. And second is that there is a market called Article 6 market, where one nation can collaborate with other nation and develop project together, transfer credit each other. So this is a collaborative approach, which is very optimistic, and we are really keen to do many more collaboration in coming days as a country. So what is the carbon projects? How to get carbon credit? So there are various projects in our life, and I think most of us has been already seen it. We can see that how solar is penetrating everywhere, how solar is going to replace fossil fuel. So these are the carbon projects. So when we do any carbon projects, the two factors are really important. One is that baseline, so where we are today. And after implementation of action, what we are doing, how we are going to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. So we have to calculate, and that should really depends upon the additionality factor also, that why you need carbon funding. So this is very important for developing projects. So as an organization, we really help companies to understand where they are and what is the action they should take, what is the greenhouse gas mitigation has been done, and how much carbon credit can then generate. And those credit can be tradable outside India also. So this is also a great opportunity for funding for those companies or corporate working in this space. So there are various projects, like in the carbon projects, there are two kinds of projects. One is that reduction-based projects, second is as removal or sequestration-based projects. So all these kind of projects are able to register for carbon credit generation and getting additional funding for corporate and enterprise. So this very important slide I want to share, that we have more than 4,500 projects in the carbon market space in the world. And India is a knowledge center for this space. We have 30% share in the global carbon market voluntary space. And we are able to generate around $0.65 billion so far in the voluntary space, and the compliance market we are able to generate $10 billion in this space. So all those carbon credit and funding also going to the last mile operator and farmers' income. Recently, I've also launched an alliance called India SAF Alliance, which is Sustainable Aviation Fuel Alliance, because we are going to be the third largest airline hub in the world. At the same time, are you going to meet the compliance as a global airlines corporations and law? Of course not. So SAF Alliance is really going to give us a sustainable fuel to the airline company. And also SAF Alliance is going to help doubling the farmer income. So our job is also to spread the resource at the last mile operator, so that this ecosystem can really develop and this transition can happen smoothly in the world. So there's a lot of schemes about mitigation and adaptation government has already taken forward. I really suggest to go through those schemes and policy, because a lot of action is happening from the government side. And as a young generation, you should really know and start acting in this space, because it is only possible when all of us can work together. So this really know that what are the 5 areas which we have to work. So our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister has already mentioned that first we have to reduce the fossil fuel, and we are going for 500 gigawatt of renewable energy space. And that is a massive number. I think entire Europe should have a 500 gigawatt kind of space. So we are going to a complete transition in the energy source right now. And we are also going for hydrogen energy and nuclear energy, small plants as well. Then second area is that India will meet around 50% of installed power capacity from non-fossil fuel by 2030. Because why I'm telling these things? Because it's not impacting to individual, it is impacting to all organizations, all companies, and they have to do transformation in case they want to be in business. Recently, we have done a study for Fortune 5 companies in the world, and we realized that if company is not following the current rule of sustainable development, they are going to lose one of the company $280 billion, and they will be out from the Fortune 5 list. So these are the question mark, and for all those companies who's not going to work in sustainable space in the planet. Then we also wish to achieve net zero by 2070, and we have to reduce the emission level. So these are some of the statistics and data we really work, and happy to work in this space, that how government is really planning, how to reduce the energy, how to go for energy efficiency side more, and also changing the power generation from fossil fuel to non-fossil fuel. So all this transition is going to help to achieve India 45% emission reduction by 2030 level. So the carbon market of India has multiple strength, weakness, and opportunity. So when we're going to the carbon market side, we should also realize that where we are actually. So first of all, that we are actually leading carbon credit supplier to the world. So if you compare India, China, so India is the best destination for buying carbon credit because of our integrity and standard as a democratic country. So we have advantage for that. We are supplying it to the world. And we also have a large number of skilled force in environmental audit side. So Indian auditors are more than 30% auditors in the world. So we also push the government that we can increase this, because this can be a good tool like IT sector. This can be an emerging sector where we can really push our auditors to get the carbon credit projects in Brazil and Argentina and Mexico. Then apart from that, we are the world's largest biodiversity hub, one of the biodiversity hub. So we have opportunity to generate more and more carbon credit. So I'll just give you an example from one of our members. This is called Vitol, and they're working in Australia. So they have 10,000 hectare forest. So they have generated the forest, and they have an office just outside the forest, and they are selling credits. So they maintain the forest, they generate the credit, and this is one of the most profitable business in this space because credit price is around $25 per credit. So similarly, India is going to be destination. So I developed one project. Personally, I'm working 2 projects. One, I'm working in Nagaland for 6,000 hectare RED Plus projects for forest conservations, working with communities. Second project, I'm working right now for mangrove plantation in Sundarban, which I'm planning to have 1,000 hectare. We are taking land from the government and developing a mangroves and blue carbon projects. So there are many more such opportunities going ahead because we have 75% coastal area as a country. And we can really supply those credit to the world and get additional funding in this transition. And weakness, we also have a large number of weakness because we need huge fund to achieve net zero. To get our NDC by 2030, we need $2.5 trillion, while our economy is around $3 to $4 trillion. So where the fund will come? So I think carbon market can be one of the great tools to get additional funding for India. So we are working in this space for developing this ecosystem so that we can get funding. And when we will get the funding, it will not going to impact our GDP as well because we'll generate credit, we'll supply to the country who wish to get those credit and achieve net zero goal. And apart from that, we also need a cohesive policy approach. So we realized that in Singapore, there's a complete climate cell, is a separate department. So we are also pushing government to create a complete carbon credit and climate cell who can really drive all the ministry and all the department to meet their objective. So that cohesive policy approach, CMA is closely working right now. And the various opportunities are there, as we discussed about. There's Article 6, Paris Agreement market and voluntary market. We have a large number of credit right now, and we can really supply and earn for the country. And while there are other traits also that there are various trade barriers, like European Union has CBAM, UK is coming with UK CBAM, US is also doing some trade barrier. So these are trade barriers going to impact our sector at large. So we should be very ready. If you'll be ready right now, we are able to meet those objectives in 5 to 10 years' time. So that's why whenever I meet any fossil fuel company and steel, cement, fertilizer, aluminum companies, paper and pulp, we really tell them to work right now because we realize that global companies are very active. One of the partners is also working with Shell, and they have done JV with $1.6 billion in India for developing around 6 lakh hectare agroforestry. So these are the activities already happening in the world, and we are at right destination and right place to work in this space and develop more credit and supply to the world. So how to achieve net zero? So this is a very important slide I want to share, that this is going to come to all of you corporates when you're working in any stream and any company, any project. Suppose I have a company called X, I'm doing 100 emission, but by using the innovation and process and technology, I'm able to reduce the emission to 100 to 80. The rest 20 emissions, how to offset? Because there will be some emission always in your life. So for offset those 20 emissions, we have to develop offset projects. And those offset projects are CDR projects, carbon dioxide removal projects, forestry, and biochar, CCUS technology must be heard, carbon capture, utilization, storage technology. So all those technologies are already there in India. So we have to be very careful because we also developed one of the tool for Indian Oil recently, and they are measuring the employee emission. So now the corporates are also working in this space because they are measuring each and every employee what they are doing the emission. Because emission is cost for the company and cost for the company's growth. So that when you will grow further, you will be in the space where each of you, every action in emission is going to be measured by your corporates and enterprise. So we have to be very ready for that. And so this is a very interesting slide I try to make for all of you. So last 2 slides, that one of the most important thing is that this planet is for all. This is not our planet. This planet is for birds, for animals, for cattle. So don't try to be a super boss for the planet. So let's make the planet for all, because when you're not going to change yourself, the planet is going to change you. So this equilibrium need to be set up again, because this equilibrium where the emission industry, so need balancing now. Now there's too much changes happening. We can see the February hottest month, one of the hottest February in our life. We can see the 52-degree last summer in Delhi. So are we waiting for 60 degree? Are we waiting for 65 degree, 70 degree? I don't know what we are doing. as an individual enterprise. So we need to balance out for net zero. So how much emissions we are doing, we need to offset those emissions by action and activities. So let's be ready for that. How much emission individually you are doing, let's offset it or change yourself. In US, I heard that some of the college and universities are net zero college, net zero schools are there, because we are preparing the green citizen of the planet. The time has come to change yourself, because, and how you can do the change, you will change your complete transformations in life. Because I did an event where one of the leading ministers came to that event, and there was a plastic bottle in that event. And media has took the picture. And finally, I get a call that why are you using the plastic bottle in the event? So now we are very careful when we do any programs and event, we are not using any activities which is causing the emissions. And recently I have done also one of the event, which was a carbon neutral event. And this I've done for International Solar Alliance, where Air Rahman has also performed. I think some of them were there. So we actually measure each and every action emission is happening. We realize that there are certain emissions happen, and we offset those emissions by plantation of that in some of the state. So this is the time where whatever the emission you are doing, let's offset it right now. So thank you. That is the last slide.